All right, so here's your first 5 vocabulary words. Once you get done writing them, I will talk about all of them. So I'm going to give you some time to write so you can listen. Alright, so I'm going to get started. A polyhedron is a 3D figure that has a base as a polygon. So anything that has a base with 3 sides or more is called a polyhedron. Why would like a cylinder not be a polyhedron? Yeah,
Because the circle's not polygon.
correct. Yep. So it's a 3D figure that has a base that is a polyhedron. So this is a polyhedron. Here's my base of a triangle or rectangle or square, right? This is a polyhedron. This is the base of the square, even though it's different, that's okay. So anything that has a base of a polygon, polyhedron. All right. So then we have a vertice. And the vertice is, and I'll use just what I have on the board with you. The vertices are all the points on the 3D figure. Okay. So on here there's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all points. Then I have bases. Bases are like the flat surfaces. So like if I look at this, my bases would be what shape? Squares, right? Okay. So if I have this, what are the shapes of some of my bases? Squares, rectangles. Yeah. What are the shapes of my bases here? And square. Triangles and 5-sided figure. Pentagon. Okay. Bases are all the shapes that make up the outside. All right. The next thing are edges, and edges is exactly what you need it. And edges where 2 bases meet. There's a lot of edges on some of these things. Like this has 12 edges right here. 4 here, 4 here, 4 on the edge, like literally on the side. So 12. That's a lot. Some of these only have a few, like 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, this also has a vertice at the top. So all pyramids have a vertice at the top too, so they all meet up the whole thing. And then the last thing is the diagonal, and this is the first one to understand all of them. And I'm going to use this one because you can see it now. A diagonal will go from one corner to the opposite corner through the whole thing. So So it's gonna go from one to the other. So like where my fingers are, that's where, like if I was gonna put like a string through there or like connect them somehow, the diagonal would literally cut through that whole thing. Okay, you guys understand what a diagonal is? Has to go from like one all the way to the opposite. Good. Okay. Here's my next group of vocab. Only a few. Just 3, I think. Okay, just 3. And then we're almost done. I think I have one more thing I had. My first day of high school geometry, I remember exactly where I was in the room. I remember what room I was in. I remember everything. And the first definition, this is the first definition they gave us was the word plane. And I read it, and I was like, I don't get it. Like right away, I had no idea what I was getting into in high school geometry. And this definition is very simple. The definition I have is probably like way crazy. So this is very simple. It's a flat surface. That's all it is. It's a flat surface that can possibly go on forever. So like, let's imagine my whiteboard. Let's imagine it going on forever. That's what a plane is. The top of your desk could go on forever. That's a plane. Anything that's a flat surface. Parallel, two things that never intersect. You guys know what parallel lines are. If you look around there and there's a black parallel line, the two sets of lights. Parallel means they're never ever going to meet if they extend forever. Even if they extend for around the earth, they're never going to meet. Okay? There's a lot of parallel lines in this room. Skew lines. Skew lines are the hardest thing to understand for students. Skew lines are two lines that lay in different planes. Okay, so let's talk about this line here, and maybe this one up here, and they are never going to meet. Yeah, they might cross, but they might be this far away from each other. You understand what I'm talking about? They're never going to cross. They look like they would if I would go like this. But they are in different planes. They're never going to meet. It's like this line right here. Let's see, what else? This line and like the line on the floor. These are skew lines, like this right here and this line right here. Are they ever going to meet? They're never going to meet. They look like they might, but there's this much space in between them that they're never going to meet. That's what a skew line is. So two lines in figures, two lines in a 3D object that are never going to meet on different planes. Okay, those are hard to understand. The next thing I have you want to write, is I want you to write the word base. That's all I want you to write out all this. Just base. Congruent base. Now base. A lot of us think a base is what something is sitting on. I do the same thing. Like we say, oh, it's sitting on its base. That's now how it is. A base in geometry is, if you look at a prism, so a prism has like a solid like this, okay? A base has something on the opposite side that's exactly the same. So this has a lot of bases because there's something on the opposite like this that's exactly the same. Yes. Is there something on the opposite side of this that's exactly the same? Yes. So rectangular prisms are all bases because they all have something on the opposite side that's exactly the same. This, on the other hand, if we would look at it, everybody would think it's on its base. Is it on its base? What shape is the base of this thing? A triangle, because there's one on the opposite end. So a base is when there's something on the opposite side of it. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? So this is not on its base. The base is the two triangles. Okay, that's the base. Okay, what else are you on? Like this one. You guys see what that is? What's the base of this? This is also a triangle, right? This right here, everything up here could be a base because they're opposite something on every single side. Yes, every single side. Now when we get to pyramids and cones, which we'll talk about later, we're going to talk about pyramids today. The pyramid is always on its base. Always on its base. So whatever the bottom it is. And things are always named by its base as well. So what shape is this? So this is a square pyramid. It's always named by its base. If I looked at this, let's name this. You told me the base was a triangle. This is a triangular prism. What's this? It's a rectangular prism. Even though it has squares on the ends, everything like this is known as a rectangular prism. Only square prism is I didn't call it. Okay. What would this be called? Pyramid. Oh yeah, pyramid. You're right. Triangular pyramid. Good job. What about this one? Okay, this is a six-sided. Hexagonal prism. If it was a pyramid, it'd be a hexagonal pyramid. Okay, pyramid always has that one on the side. Okay, so you have to know this. All right, so back to it. We also are talking about cones and cylinders. These are not polyhedrons, but there's something else we're talking about. Not going to worry about those today. Okay, so, and I talked about that. The next thing we're going to do, this is what your homework's going to look like today. Okay, so first of all, you probably need to draw this. If you don't know how to draw it, I will do it with you. I'll tell you what, my smartboard is continuously off and it's starting to drive me crazy. So if you want to do it, this is what I would do. This is the front. Oh my gosh, this is really crazy. I have orientated this thing like 6 times today. Okay. If you want the dotted line, I like the dotted line because it kind of shows me like what the back is. If you want the dotted line, this is what you can do. So then I'm going to draw these next. So it'll look like this. And then I'm going to connect those. Okay. Then I'm going to start putting in my dotted line. So it's about like that. Make sure you also put in the letters. The letters are the most important part here. If you don't have the letters, you'll be able to answer. Okay, you got it drawn in your notebook. All right, first thing we're going to do, because this is the first thing it's going to do in your homework, is it's going to ask you to name it. Like, not like Sally or Mark, Frank, but name it according to what the shape is. Anybody know? Yes, rectangular prism. Okay. Okay, the next thing it's gonna do, it's gonna go through and ask us to list these things. So the first one is we're gonna look at the bases. We're gonna list all the bases here. The bad thing about rectangular prisms is everything is a base. So we have to list every single side here. Now, when you start listing things, you have to keep yourself organized so you know what you've done. Like, come up with like some kind of system. Like, start in the front, go around the sides, and then do your top and your bottom, and do your top and your bottom, and then go around the sides. You're gonna have to figure out a system so you know you have everything listed. All right, so here's an example. This is an example of how to name a side. So, like maybe A, D, H, E. A, D, H, E. That's the front. Okay, now I'm going to go around the side. D, C, G, H. Now, it does not matter the order you put them in, as long as you go in the same in order. You can't go like A, H, D, E. It doesn't work like that. It has to be like around. All right, so then I got this side. Let's do the back. So B, F, G, C. And then the side, A, B, F, E. So now I did all my sides. Now I'm going to do the top and the bottom, A, B, C, D. And the last one, E, F, H. Do you understand how I listed them? I just literally named them by the letters they had on the vertices. That's all I did. So A, D, H, E was the front. C, D, G, H was the side. B, C, or B, C, G, H, or however I, E, F, G, C, however I listed it. So let's all of them. You will not always have every side as a base. You will not. What is the only thing you're going to have every side as a base for? Just rectangular prisms. Not everything is always going to be a base. All right, let's go to faces. Everything is, again, a face, right? So I'm not going to make you relist it. For these types of problems, you do not have to relist it. So honestly, you can just like make an arrow, because bases and faces are the exact same thing. That's just for rectangular prism, nothing else. All right, so then edges. Edges, remember, are where the two faces meet. So there's a lot of edges in here. So we have a big list we have to make. And again, you're going to have to find like a good system. So I'll list the first edge. EH. Okay. What's another edge? Yep, GH. This one was listed. What else we got? EF, GF, yep. So let's write both of them. EF. This one. And then GF. Okay, what's another one? AB. So we could do AB, we could do BC, we do CB, and BA. So everything I just listed is here. Okay. So we have the sides. BE, yeah. I'm going to go up here. BE. What do we else? We got BF. CG and GH. There we go. Now I got everything else. Kind of helps me outline so I know what I've done already. So those are all the edges. You should have 12 listed there. Here's the good news. The vertices are the easiest ones. So the vertices are just the dots, just the points. So all you have to do is list all the letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay. Skew lines. You only need a pair of skew lines. Anybody want to talk about two lines that would be skew? Or take a guess anyway. Anybody want to take a guess? Skew?
A, B, and C, G.
A, B. You bet. That's a pair of skew lines. A, B, and C, G. You only got to list a pair. You don't go list, there's a ton in there. You don't have to solve just a pair. Yep, that's another one. Anybody else got another one they want to try to make sure that's skew? Yeah, go ahead.
B, F, and E, H.
B, F, and what was the other one?
E,
E, H, you bet, that's another pair of squiggly lines. Yep, good job. You don't have to list anymore, that's fine. Yes, any other questions? Any questions? Okay, let's do another one. You don't gotta draw it, let's just talk about it. Can we just talk about it? So, first of all, let's name him. What can we name him? Look at the base. Okay, what do you think? I thought you had your hand up. You're rubbing your hair, so I thought you had your hand up. Haley?
A pentagonal pyramid.
You are right. Pentagonal pyramid. Okay? Alright, so let's go to the base. How many bases are there this time? Just one, that's all we need to list. So you can do A, B, C, D, E. That'd be the base. A, B, C, D, E. Then it asks you to list all the faces. Well, the base is a face, so we can list him. What other things are considered faces now? Those triangles, all the triangles. You see all the triangles in there? So I'll start to list them. So AFE will be a face. What else? EFD. What else we got? DFC. CFB. Notice F is an old one. BFA. Is that all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Yep. All right. Everybody understand how I listed those? Do you see why this time I could say, I mean, I had more faces than I did bases this time. Remember last time they were all the same? So make sure you're aware of that when you're doing your homework today. All right, edges. What's an example of an edge? Who's got one? Somebody I haven't heard from yet today. Debbie.
FD.
FD would be an edge. There's a lot of them. FD, let's see. FD, CF, all of those, every single one. Your job is to try to list them all. Okay? I'm not going to go through all of them. So FD would be one, CF, BF, AF, EF, EB, BC, CB, BAA. That's all your edges. What about vertices this time? How do we list those again? How do you list the vertices? What is a vertice? Just the point, right? Just the point. So list all your letters A, B, C, D, E. Don't forget F is also a vertice. All right, skew lines. We've got an example of skew lines in this guy. Does you want to try?
BC and FD.
D, C, and F what?
FE.
You bet. B, C, F, E. Those are two skew lines that will never meet. What about if I listed this? Are these skew? AF, FD. Skew? No, because they meet at the top. Remember, they're never going to cross. So just be careful. Last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm done, is called cross sections. Okay, cross sections. My last thing I'm talking about. Then I'm done. A cross section. And honestly, you just need to write this in the end other words part because this makes way more sense than what the definition is. In other words, you're going to cut it, slice it, and you're going to tell what the shape is. Okay, this is how it works. They're going to talk about 3 different types of cross sections. The first one is a horizontal. What's horizontal? Okay. They're going to talk about a vertical. What is vertical? Okay. They're going to talk about an angle. Okay. Here's an example. They're going to give you a shape. This is a square pyramid. They're going to say, cut it vertically. That means I go just like this, like right down the middle. And if I open it up, what shape would you see there? Yes. That's what I want. If I said, okay, let's cut this horizontally. And I go, what shape is there? Square. Very good. Easy enough? Yeah, it's pretty easy. What if I said, let's cut this horizontally? Triangle, you're right. Open up to me, triangle. What if I cut it differently? Ooh, what if we cut it like this? Rectangle. You're right. It's just going to be smaller rectangles on the faces. What if I cut my cone vertically? It's going to be a triangle. Yes, it is. Horizontally? Circle. Sometimes they'll say angle. So like if I would cut, like let's just cut that side off right there. What kind of shape would that look like? If I would cut it like here. Do you see that? Can you see that? If I would cut it here. It'd be like a semicircle, like I take this little part off and do like a half like moon type deal. So sometimes they'll ask you those things and it won't be like a true shape. You just have to say, well, let's give it like a half circle kind of. Just do your best. Okay? Let's have this. That would be a triangle. We would cut this way. Square, rectangle, yeah, whatever you get out of that. So you can imagine in your head what's going on. You have to imagine what the cross section is. In your book, it'll give you a good like picture. And sometimes we'll show it in blue. So if it has like a blue thing going in through the middle of it, that means that that's where they would cut it. Okay. Go ahead and get your book out. Let's talk about it.